Hello everyone, it's your best wolf girl, Fallen Wolf here. Oh! So, this is going to be a surprising new video I'd like to call Furry Talks with your host Fallen Wolf, which I just said. My name. Why am I saying my name again? But seriously. So, in today's video, I thought we would talk about something a little dear to my heart and something that many other very well-developed furry YouTubers have made. A video about my furry childhood crushes. Now, before anybody gets any ideas, I decided to go for some characters of mine, some furry crushes of mine from my childhood that a lot of people don't really talk about. Well, most of them. We'll get to that. So, we're not going to be talking about any of that kind of stuff. This is a pretty standard thing. It's going to be more innocent and cute instead of more steamy and deep. And no, people, grow up. What kind of channel do you think this is? This is a safe for work area. So when it comes to the furry fandom, there's a wide and diverse amount of rather attractive characters. When it comes to me, I've even found myself more invested in certain characters compared to others. Now, I know there's a few of the profound universal furry crushes. There's Robin Hood from Walt Disney's Robin Hood movie. Nick Wilde from Zootopia is a more recent one. There's Star Wolf from Star Fox, and oh gosh, yeah, there's a lot of very attractive anthropomorphic characters in cartoons, aren't there? What were we talking about? So let me just say up front, I am a 90s kid, and I have to say, without any sort of biased opinion, 90s animation was amazing. There were so many good cartoons, so many, and we would be here all day if I tried to discuss them. So, like I said in today's video, I'm going to be talking about my furry crushes in my childhood. This was a hard list to make, very hard. There's just so many characters I have fond memories of, and it was really hard to separate which ones I feel like I had a serious crush on and which ones I think I just have fond memories of. But I eventually sat myself down, thought long and hard, day and night through the seasons, and finally came up with what I feel like is a pretty compressive list of furry characters that influenced me. So first off, let's start with number 5 on my list. Number 5 is going to be a bit of a eyebrow raiser, but I can't help but have a soft spot for him for sentimental reasons. Pepe Le Pew is number 5 on my list. Now, hear me out before you say anything. A reminder that this list is furry childhood crushes I didn't know I had. So like I said, a lot of things on this list might be not so normal, quotations. Basically, one of the big reasons I love Pepe Le Pew is because he was created and drawn by Chuck Jones, who is one of my cartoon animation idols. Chuck Jones, for people that don't know, mainly did a lot of the art for the Looney Tunes cartoons during the late 40s and like to mid 50s. And then after that, he's done a few other things too. He's done the animation for TV adaptations of Horton Hears a Who and even The Grinch Who Stole Christmas. So he's done a lot. He has a little bit under his belt. But the reason I put Pepe Le Pew on this list is because when I was growing up, I didn't know that he was some creep who didn't understand no means no. And like I said, when I was growing up, I didn't really see that. But for me, I used to see Pepe Le Pew actually as somebody who was confident, overly confident, in fact. And growing up, how I was back then, I was pretty shy and quiet, and I didn't really talk to a lot of people. And for me, Pepe Le Pew I saw as somebody who was so certain of himself. So great, he was so certain of himself and romantic. Again, back then, I thought, romantic. I still think it's good to learn from him that to be very confident of yourself and to be romantic to a degree. Guys, please, romantic to a degree. There is a limit, obviously. Most of the stuff he does is not stuff you want to do if you want to be a good person. But Pepe Le Pew is a good example of showing how characters change over time, and now we realize that most of what he did was not stuff that you want to do this day and age. But yeah, Pepe Le Pew is part of my childhood, and the Looney Tunes is a part of me that I will not soon forget, as number 3 on this list later will show. Stay tuned to find out what character that one will be. Next on the list, and number 4, is Charlie from All Dogs Go to Heaven. Now, this one's going to be a little bit of a more obscure character. To most people that don't know, All Dogs Go to Heaven is actually a pretty popular franchise in the 80s. All Dogs Go to Heaven is actually the name of the movie, and it's, by the way, it's a fantastic 80s movie that, like the title implies, is basically, in this universe, all dogs, well, go to heaven. No matter how bad or how wrong or how many times they've peed on the carpet, they still always wind up in heaven. And All Dogs Go to Heaven the movie is not about every single dog, because that would be a movie that would probably be, while very interesting, would also be very, very, very long. But to give a brief synopsis of the first movie, it's basically about a street-savvy German shepherd named Charlie, who's betrayed by his boss after his boss starts growing resentful and a bit fearful of his second-in-command's growing influence. The reason Charlie is on this list, the first thing you were going to notice, though, was Charlie is actually one of the few feral animal-designed characters that I actually really, really like. I'm not really into feral designs when it comes to the furry fandom, but I do have friends who are, which is fine, and there are a few that even myself, I have to admit, I really enjoy. But basically, the reason I put Charlie on this list is because, for one, he is the star of the show, our shows, our movies. There's a lot. Like I said, you'd be surprised. There's a decent amount of All Dogs Go to Heaven material. The reason, though, Charlie is on this list, for one, is his larger-than-life personality, which can get a little annoying at times based on what kind of characters you like, but, well, let's get this out the way. Charlie Barkin is a bit of a jerk. But with that being said, though, he's also a lovable hunk who knows he can get away with his charm. But I do remember loving his constantly relaxed nature and the way he tends to talk his way out of numerous situations. This dog's strength isn't in his bite, it's in his bark. He's confident, relaxed, and, like I said, not the best person at times, but I think his personal philosophy is a really wonderful one, and it's pretty much his own personal philosophy is given in song form with one of my favorite animated songs of all time, Let Me Be Surprised. Now, thanks to YouTube copyright, I can't actually let you listen to the song, but I would highly recommend, there are a decent amount of YouTube videos that have the song on, and I would highly recommend checking out Let Me Be Surprised. It's a really, really good song, but basically in it, to basically say what his personal philosophy is in the song, Charlie basically, it's when he first ends up in heaven, and he meets the I guess the gatekeeper of heaven, Annabelle. In the song, he basically admits that life can be full of hardship and struggles, but it's those things that also make the good things all the more worthwhile. And for people that are curious, yes, Charlie does grow over the movie to become a lot more compassionate and realize how much he's taken advantage of people, how selfish he's become. It's nice to see him realize those mistakes and try to make up for them. Unfortunately, though, like many animated protagonists, Charlie loses nearly all of his personal growth once you hit the sequel. But it's not really surprising. Still, Charlie was a huge inspiration for me growing up to think of how grateful to be for all the good things that come into your life, and even now, he is a reminder for me to remember that despite all the bad that there has to be some good at the end of the road. And that is why Charlie Barkin from All Dogs Go to Heaven is number 4 on this list. Now, coming in at sensational number 3 is a rather popular furry crush for many of us, Lola Bunny from Space Jam. Now, Lola Bunny might be a bit more noticeable to some younger furries thanks to the second Space Jam movie that just came out, which, no, I haven't seen. I don't really have an interest in seeing it. Space Jam was a childhood movie for me, and it still holds a dear place to my heart, and what I've heard of the second movie, has a lot of corporate meddling that caused the movie to not be quite as good as I remember. Now, I will admit, Lola Bunny is one of the few characters on this list that I mainly put on here for the fact that I always had a crush on her when I was younger. I know. And yes, I do think she was very attractive, and I think that was a big part of it. But it's also the fact that when I was in the 90s, I loved Looney Tunes. I fell in love with the Looney Tunes characters. And while Lola Bunny is a newer addition to the Looney Tunes family, she hasn't shied away from being a big part of the Looney Tunes family. But with that being said, though, Lola Bunny hops into number 3 for furry childhood crushes of mine. Now, coming in at number 2 is a bit of a non-surprise for people, probably. This character is actually from a Disney film. Now, though, unlike what most people are expecting, I know some people are expecting Nick Wilde from Zootopia, Clawhauser from Zootopia, Judy from Zootopia, And I can say, no, this one is not from Zootopia. I don't have anybody from Zootopia on this list. This one is from a bit of an underrated Disney classic. It is Kenai from Brother Bear. Now, Brother Bear, like I said, is an underrated animated classic. It came out around the time of a few other more popular movies. I can't name them off the top of my head right now. But it's kind of up there with Disney's Atlantis: The Lost Empire in the sense of it's actually a pretty good animated film. It just didn't get a lot of reception or notice due to it coming out around the time of other popular movies, which sadly makes people think it's not good. Kenai is basically technically human, so he's a little different. He goes on essentially a spiritual journey, and this is why he gets turned into a bear. Now, throughout the story, Kenai, which is his name, he goes through a journey with another younger bear who he looks after, who is looking for their own mother. And over the course of the story, they begin to bond. But let's just say, over the course of the journey, Kenai goes to becoming rather protective of the younger bear, whose name is Coda. And by the end, they end up becoming essentially brothers. Now, why this is on this list is because the lesson I think that Kenai teaches you is that family is not always necessarily from blood. And this is a lesson unlike most of the lessons I've learned that I ended up taking to heart later in life. While you do have blood relatives, there's also family that you can control. And sometimes you find family in the most unexpected places. Besides all of that, serious topics though, I just generally think Kenai's design is pretty good, both as human and bear. And that is why Kenai is number 2 on my list of childhood furry crushes. Well, first, I'd like to thank everyone for making it this far, but we've finally reached the end of the list. Star Fox, though, from the Star Fox series. Well, his real name is Fox McCloud, but for some reason, we all like to call him Star Fox. Maybe because it sounds more badass. Now, let's talk about Star Fox. I love Star Fox, or Fox McCloud. First of all, his design is so beautiful. Next is the fact he's also a fox, which, while not my number 1 favorite animal species, is a close second. I know a lot of the furries on this list tend to be a lot more obscure and maybe even unknown, but everybody, and I mean everybody, knows about Star Fox. One of the reasons, though, that Star Fox holds dear to my heart, though, is over the last few years, I found out about an artist who is in love with the fanship of Star Fox and Star Wolf. The artist I'm referring to the most, though, probably have to be called Candy Barra. At least that's his name at the time of this video. A fair warning, he is an NSFW artist, so if you're under 18, please don't go to his page. I do have a link to his Twitter page on the description of this video below. But I really do love Star Fox. I've always loved the fact that he's very confident without being cocky, and while he does show off from here and there, he does care a lot about doing the right thing and knows when to be serious. But Star Fox on this list is surprisingly one of the few characters I have to admit I never really took a lesson from. Honestly, I just loved playing his games when I was younger, and I just thought an anthropomorphic alien fox who ran his own mercenary group and flew his own spaceship was really, really cool. But I still do have to say that Star Fox is without a doubt number 1 of my childhood furry crushes. Well, everyone, that's the end of my furry childhood crushes I didn't know I have video. This was a fun video to do. It was a very fun video to do, and I honestly want to do more videos like this. I really had a lot of fun, and I'm really hoping to make another video like this soon. Now, of course, it won't be, furry crushes, because I can go on forever making a list like that. But, I really did like making this video. I think it's nice to show, people, like, the kind of person I am, show more videos, like, show my personality and stuff, and it's, it's something fun, and like I said, I plan on doing a lot more videos like this. I also wanted to give a big heartfelt apology for taking so long releasing this video. The reason that I was taking so long to release this video was mainly due to currently I'm working extra hours at my daytime, at my day job, as well as just generally I'm taking new medication, and the side effects I'm still getting a little used to. I do not plan to take nearly as long releasing my next video. I will still be playing furry visual novels on this channel, but I do want to let people know that I will not be trying to play any new ones until I finish the ones that are currently on my plate, such as Familiar Travels, Echo, I want to go back to Minotaur Hotel, and a lot of other ones. But with that being said, though, thank you so much to everyone who stopped by this video. Don't forget, if you really like my content and you really want to get notifications when I do more stuff like this, feel free to hit that like as well as subscribe button. And with that being said, this has been Fallen Wolf. Ow! And I'll see everyone next time. Bye.